Hello, today we're going to take a look at this particular cryptic crossword published in The Guardian, originally on Friday the 17th of June 2016, and it's by Paul. This is a crossword I've chosen at random to look at, so here we go. Neglect to finish touring Dixie. Dixie has an American connotation to it, I suppose. I suspect the definition is neglect, but it's not obvious to me yet what that might be. So look at one down. 10 in play for a little scene. I suspect the definition here is little scene. And 10 is the letter X in Roman numerals. Sometimes it's literally written out as 10, which can translate as IO into letters. That's interesting because a play is a drama, and therefore a diorama, if you put IO inside of drama, you get a scene. So that's our starter. Let's try 12 across. Mixed bag in anomaly. A few minutes of deep inspiration. Mixed bag could be the letters of bag anagramized. Few minutes. I'm not sure yet on that one. Let's try 10 across. 20 down. Surprised, out and out. Yeah, okay. This is a there's two different words for out here. One is a sporting reference, and the other one is when you're unconscious. So the definition is surprised, and that translates into the answer being caught napping. And if you're out or you're caught in cricket, that's a phrase. And if you're napping, you're out for the count, or indeed you are merely therefore asleep. Try 2 down, ending in J. Kid drinking Shinzano. Peer group says 13. Oh, the definition here is kid, and it's not as a verb as in to make light of someone. If you kid them, you're fooling with them. It's actually kid as in someone's child and slang, and it's sprog, and the reason it's sprog is because it's the bottoms up of SPROG going backwards. Let's try 3 down. Enclose one magazine inside another. Enclose. This will be some sort of reference to 2 magazine publications, but nothing springs to mind. Perhaps we can see if we can get one across now. Neglect to finish touring Dixie. Oh, that's right. So the southern United States collectively is Dixieland, isn't it? It's that sort of area, which translates into SUS for South United States, and the word die can mean finish, as in it's done me in, and disuse is neglect. particularly referring to, say, buildings, for instance. Have a look at 9. Here, Paul pens some rude ones like damn. Paul does have a reputation, particularly in the Guardian, because the rules are a little more relaxed, for being risque at sometimes. So I suspect here it's a definition by example, given the question mark at the end of the clue, and that we're looking for a phrase that is referenced by something that's like damn, and I suspect that's not damn as in damnation. It's probably a reference to, well, not so much now, but time was that the word damn was considered blasphemous and therefore swearing. Oh, yes, it is. If you look at if you look at the word damn, it's made up of 4 letters, and 4-letter words as a phrase can often refer to quite a few different rude words in the English language, and I won't give any other examples beyond the one that we see here. So yes, the answer therefore is indeed 4-letter words. Okay, 8 down. Small vehicle was in a collision. Well, small is often abbreviated to S, and therefore we need a vehicle for the remaining 5 letters, and with that T there, I think we can have a truck, and struck is the past tense of collision. Okay, what does that do for 12? Mixed bag again. Oh yes, this one. In anomaly. A few minutes of deep inspiration. Okay, this is fag break, which is sort of in the sense of, breathing in and out, I suppose. And why is it fag break? Because the letters of bag appear in there for mixed, and yes, freak is anomaly, as in freak weather or freak accident. Enclose one magazine inside another. Oh, it must be sheath, and I vaguely recall that, well, heat. The word heat is in there, and that's definitely a British magazine publication. I'm guessing, therefore, that there is also a magazine called She, but it's not something that I'm personally familiar with. Living across to the U looks interesting. Redundant, not given any work for dough. Did you say? So there's 2 things that spring to mind here. Did you say instantly springs to mind a homophone because you are repeating something out loud? Did you say is often a phrase for someone to say pardon, and so you would repeat yourself out loud. And whenever that's in a clue in crossword, you're looking for a word that sounds the same as something but spelt differently. And for dough is often a slang term for money or bread. And again, the same thing in Cockney rhyming slang for money. And if the definition is redundant, the one thing that you have to do with dough in the bread making sense is you knead it. So it's not a reference to money this time around. But if you unknead something, that hasn't been worked, it's just sat there. So unneeded is not used the do yet, but also unneeded is also sounding like redundant because it's no longer necessary. That's a very nice clue indeed, actually. Oops, I don't like my typing. Let's try 5 down. Some in relationship aren't suitable to become these. Another reference by example, I suspect, given that question mark. And some in, to my mind, instantly makes me think of an embed, and an embed clue is where the answer is actually contained within the entire clue itself, sort of spelled out in the middle. And if I look inside here, working backwards from the letter R, I can see the word parents is in there, and indeed, I suppose not all parents are made equal. Some subjectively may well be more suitable than others. But I will pass. No comment on that. Since we're down here, 14 across with an S. Soft pickle sandwiches, mate. Oh, interesting. I mean, immediately we're kind of drawn towards thinking about food, but I suspect that's incorrect because it's too obvious, and Paul as a setter can be a lot more devious than that. So we probably need to think somewhat differently. Now the letter S, I don't believe, is necessarily abbreviated to the word soft, but certainly when I see the word soft, I think back to my music days, and the letter P for piano is more likely. So the question is then, is there a word for pickle? Because sandwiches here isn't related to food. Sandwiches is often an indicator that a word is contained inside another. So what I'm suggesting here is we've got the letter P for soft somewhere in this clue, but I think that letter S at the beginning is part of our word for pickle, and that could be a pickle in the foodstuff sense, or it could also be one of the many different words that can mean drunk, as in he's pickled. Which means then that the definition must be mate. I think mate can mean many things. It could be a chess reference, it could be a reference to your partner. Yes, okay, if you take a mate, I suppose you could take a spouse, because that works either way. And souse, S-O-U-S-E, is a word meaning pickle, but can also mean drunk. And if you put a P inside of that, i.e. sandwich, you get spouse. 6 down. Retaining act, routine, reforms, resolved. So the definition here is probably resolved. Retaining act means keep back the letters of act, or indeed a word that also means act. And I think that routine reforms is telling us that we need to take the letters of routine and anagamize them, because if you reform something, you change it, which would give us those many letters plus 2 other letters which mean act. And because it's 6-3, it will be a phrase that means resolved. Oh, yes, if you act upon something, you do something. So the letters DO plus routine anagramize would give us, what is that? Ironed out. And if you iron out something, you resolve it. Four across C18. Okay, let's have a look. For a motorist, the early evening, 12. Do we have 12 yet? Yes, we do. Fag break. For a motorist, the early evening, fag break, question mark. 824. For a motorist, the early evening. What the hell do motorists do in the early evening? I'm not sure on that one. What's 7 down? Constant could be the letter E or I, going straight, but not to the top. Not to the top is presumably a reference to us removing the first letter for something, presumably a phrase that means going straight. And the definition, I would guess, is constant. I want it to be the word endless, but what could we put before that to possibly mean going straight? Well, 26 possibilities going through the alphabet. I suppose bendless. If you're bendless, you've got no curves in you. You're straight, and yeah, take the B away from that, and you have endless. It's a bit tenuous, but I'll take it. Let's have another look at 18 for a motorist. Not sure. I need some more letters. 22 with a P. Prune eye gathered, not ready to eat. Gathered can be an anagram indicator, and prune eye is 6 letters. We have a P already. Unripe is not ready to eat. 23 down. Describing organs way up under base of liver. Well, the base of liver, if you think about it in terms of the top and bottom, the base of liver is the letter R. And because we're in a down clue, way up makes me think of a word for way that's reversed. And that has to be true because if it's under the base of liver, which is the letter R, we've already got that as our starting letter. So what we're looking for here is a definition that means describing organs, and the way that we get that is now by thinking of a word for way that's reversed and then entered into the grid. And way is almost always synonymous with streets and roads and that sort of thing. And we're probably not looking for an abbreviation here because we only have 4 letters to go with. I think, oh yes, we have country lanes here, and if you reverse lane and put an R there, you get renal. And renal is describing a group of organs in the human body. 19 down, stick. Around island, that's sweet. think it is literally taken as read here in that the definition is sweet, and we are looking for a word that means stick, either as a noun or a verb, and a word for an island, of which there are of course many. Not quite sure that is yet, but it'll come to us. 26 across. Silver perhaps. Maggie has set in recess. So I think set in recess is another one of those reverse a word, and I think just on the last three letters that we've got in the clue here, the word gel means set as in gelatin, and if you reverse that you get leg. Now what's interesting here is silver perhaps is by example, and it's not a metal, but I do seem to remember that my pirate knowledge from Long John Silver, he used to have a peg leg, and peg is a diminutive name for Maggie. God, it's convoluted. Okay, and that gives us an E for our sweet, which could also, of course, be a type of pudding or dessert. It doesn't have to be a word that means sweet. We just don't know yet. 18, I'm still not sure about. 24, I'll have a look, but no guarantees with the number of letters we've got so far. Novel, go away, might you say? Absolutely no idea. 19 down gives us a unit. Stick around again. I'm still not. Oh, yes, it's stick around island. So actually, the island is within a word, which means stick. And with the U and an E there, I'll make a slight leap of faith and assume that if you glue something, you stick it. And that leaves us then with a 3-letter word for the name of an island. And that can only leave us with the island of Kos in Greece, and glucose is the thing that is sweet. Excellent clue. It does also mean, unfortunately, now that there will be no more help with 18, even if you had a starting letter. We can try don't open bag. Run. Don't open bag. Run. Nope, no idea. 13 down with a B. Your health is of least importance. Drink. 7-2. Yes, okay, it's a phrase that means drink, and it's bottoms up, which is another word for cheers. And the reason it's bottoms up is, even though this is a phrase separated into two different words, we have to kind of ignore that and know that the word sup is there. which means drink, and your health as a phrase, bottoms up, cheers, good health. There's lots of different examples in different languages. And of least importance is bottom. If it's at the end of something or the bottom of something, chances are it's probably not as important as the thing at the top. 15. Circling river. Arrived at cave. Not sure. Could be the name of a river. Again, there's lots. 21 across with a O in the middle of it. Biting flower, or sometimes flower for a river. Character parted. Not sure. Presumably the definition is parted. Or partied, I should say. Not parted as in separated, but partied. Past tense then. But I'm none the wiser. Oh dear, struggling a bit. What haven't we looked at? 17 down, we haven't. 2 legs, where to break one. Two legs, where to break one. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, given what we've seen of Paul so far in this crossword, that 2 legs might be a similar device used for 10 across, where we had, 10 across, where we had out and out, where we had 2 definitions for the word out. I wonder if we've got something similar happening here. Where to break one leg. And again, in cricket, leg can mean on, as in a side in cricket. Oh, and one of the superstitions in acting is, the play that shall not be named is Macbeth, and so, break a leg on stage, because yes, leg is on and stage is leg, as in, a particular phase of a sport in some ways. Or it's a bit, I suppose it's fair, but it's a little sort of clunky. Another one of these by example definitions. Circling river. Well, river, if it's not the name of a river, and there are only a few with sort of short names, river can also be abbreviated to the letter R. And I'm thinking that the definition is cave, and a grotto is an example of a cave. And that leaves, if we take the R out of that means we've got to is arrived at. So I've got to where I wanted to go. I've arrived there. Ugh. Okay. 16 down with the beginning. Ask again for employment to gain work. If you reapply for a job, you are asking again, and oftentimes it can be for employment. You reapply for a position, which means that the word reap is gain, as in you reap what you sow, you gain the things that are there. And ply is work, particularly if you're a carpenter. Since we're here, 25 across the Y. Agent getting money back for small puppy. So I think the definition here is a small puppy, and I think that the word back means we need to reverse some stuff, and I think it's split between a word for agent and a word for money, which is reversed. Yes, a yapper, Y-A-P-P-E-R, a yapper is a sort of slang term, I suppose, for a puppy, because they bark a lot at that age. And that means that the word rep, so rep is agent, as in a representative, particularly estate agent. They used to be called reps. These days they're just called shysters. And money backwards again is pay reversed. Novel must be the definition, and given it's 1725, has to be a book. Go away, might you say? If it's a homophone, I want it to be a passage to India, which is a book by Ian Forster. Very good book. Passage to India, might you say? Why is that the case? Go away, go away, might you? Oh, yeah. Okay, this is interesting. So, A Passage to India, a novel by Forster. Go away, might you say? Again, it is a homophone, and we're literally saying it as I say the words, except that Goa, Goa, is indeed a place in India. Go away, therefore, is away is a passage in India, I suppose. Goa, Goa, and way is a passage, a street, what have you. And I think Paul is just trying to be a little bit clever here, but I think that's how that works, and therefore that does just about support the answer. Okay. 21 across again. Biting flower. Character. If you were caroused, you parted. Caroused, okay. Oh, and it's not flower, it's flower, as in a river, because you have embedded in the answer, you have the River Ouse, which is a river that runs through Yorkshire in the north of England and other areas. And an old-fashioned term, at least these days, for character is a card. If you're a bit of a card, you're a character, you're a bit sort of boisterous, or, just somebody who's interesting. But caroused is caroused, sorry, is a term for partied. 18 down, don't open bag, run. That must be ladder, bladder, and if you open it or don't open it, it's without its opening letter, and ladder is a run. And that leaves us with our last clue, 18 across, foreign motorist, the early evening fag break. Ah. And again, another euphemism for having a smoke is to light up. And presumably, if I kind of take the spirit of that, if you're driving a car and it's early evening, you might therefore put the lights on. And I suppose the time at which you would do that as an action in the early evening is lighting up time. Ugh, I'm not sure I like the surface of that particular clue at all. But it does indeed want to be that. So there we have it. Paul's Cryptic Crossword from 2016. Hope you enjoyed it. There were some interesting clues in there. Some of the examples and types of clue are interesting. They're still very much relevant in crosswords, so they're worth learning. But see you on the next one.